are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So would you ever pay somebody to scratch your back? Like have a professional back scratcher? Apparently that's a thing. And, you know, it's interesting because we get to a point where we can't scratch our own bodies. I'm getting to that point where I don't know if I have rotator cuff issues, but there's a spot on my back right there. It's in between my scapula where the rhomboids are, where I can't reach it from here and I can't reach it from here. And so there's this little zone, and that's where I itch. And I'll rub up against a wall. I can't rub up against a door handle because the door handle's too low for that. I'll try to find something of that height, or I have to ask my husband or somebody to scratch my itch on my back. And so I didn't realize that there's actually a market for this. I was reading on Fox News that apparently there are professional back scratchers. There is a family-run business called Scratcher Girls. They operate a studio in Miami Gardens and a weekend booth at Hollywood's Yellow Green Farmers Market. Oh, the farmers market. And so they charge $74.99 for 30 minutes and $129.99 an hour. You could get scratching, you could get hair play. You know, it feels good when somebody's braiding your hair. I don't personally like, my hairdresser is so cool with me because my scalp is really kind of tender. And so when the hair pulls, I'm like, ow. So I'm not really big on somebody braiding or touching my hair. But many individuals love the feel of a scratch. You know, they might go to a masseuse and get massages, but what about scratching the surface? And so apparently these people that do this, there's an art to it. And I noticed my kids are always like, Mom, scratch my back. You know, when they were younger, they love back scratching. Scratch my back, scratch my back. And I'm like, is the itch gone? And they're like, no. But it feels good when you scratch my back. And I'm like, you got red lines, and because my nails are long, all over your back, just okay, enough with the scratching, you'll get more itchy. But why do we itch? Well, it's interesting. It's an immune response, and it's a body's way to protect yourself. There's a variety of reasons why we itch. Your medications can make you itch, like narcotics. You could have liver disease, kidney disease. But itching was designed by the body as a immune response. So when your mast cells release histamine and you have an allergic response to something, your body is trying to tell you that something's wrong. Your body is trying to tell you that you were exposed to something that you probably shouldn't do. And so the fact that you need to itch and you need to scratch, or you're itchy and you need to scratch, is kind of like a negative feedback mechanism. Another thing, too, like chickenpox. People will get chickenpox when they used to get chickenpox before the vaccine, and they would want to itch and scratch. And I remember, you know, patients would say, why would this virus make you itch? You know, well, because maybe the body, when you itch, it's the body's way of you trying to get it out or induce your immune response. So when you scratch yourself, that scratch also wakes up your immune system. So it's like a second layer of there's like a second wall that reminds the body, okay, you need to fight this. Some people with acne, they say they can't stop messing with their pimples. They itch, they bother them. Well, that's the body's way of people trying to get the pus out. You know, like with acne, your body will take immune cells, try to wrap up the acne bacterium, and then package it and then expel it out. And if it doesn't on its own get out there, you know, by erupting, your body might itch so that you scratch it and then it comes out. You got to be careful, though, because scratching can cause scarring. Scratching could cause more scratching, could cause more rash, could cause more skin inflammation. Remember, our skin is protective. So we want to protect our skin. Our skin is the biggest barrier, one of the most important barriers as it pertains to infectious disease. Not to mention, it also keeps in your fluid, hydration. So you don't want to hurt one of the most important barriers. This is our skin keeps us alive. Yes, the brain does too, the heart does, but if you didn't have your skin, you would just fall apart. So you need your skin, and you need your skin intact. So as just to quickly review, I don't know if I would actually pay for somebody to scratch. You keep in mind, they should wear gloves, because if they do nick your skin, like I broke a nail coming down the mountain the other night. And so, if you scratch somebody and they bleed, now you could introduce infectious disease. So I don't know if I would hire a professional back scratcher, but there's a lot of conditions that might make you itch: atopic dermatitis, psoriasis, contact dermatitis like poison ivy. You have chronic hives, chronic urticaria, scabies. Some people are calling up going, I am just itching everywhere, and I don't know what I'm allergic to. And I go, well, one, you need to get this checked out and get some allergy testing, but have them check you for scabies. Scabies can burrow. It's a little parasite that'll burrow into your skin, and when the babies are hatched, it becomes very, very itchy. Why does it itch? Because your body wants to get you to pick them out. Problem is once scabies infest you, you can't scratch them all out. You'll be bleeding. So we use permethrin. We use a shampoo to knock it out. But if you are chronically itching, get your kidneys checked, get your liver checked. For those of you who drank a lot of alcohol and might have liver cirrhosis, those bile salts and or your disequilibrium of your liver metabolizing what it needs to, it can cause you to itch. Certain endocrine disorders, thyroid issues can cause you to itch. Certain blood disorders like being anemic, polycythemic, and interestingly, cancer could. What I don't want to worry you all, but I keep hearing from family members that, he kept scratching this one part of his body. Well, that could have been he misinterpreted the growth of a tumor as something that was itching him. So get yourself checked out if you chronically itch. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So I'm not the biggest Coldplay fan. I apologize. I don't really like their music. But we covered what happened with that couple who was caught cheating, right? That CEO, and then they got caught on the camera, and they tried to hide their faces, and so Coldplay got themselves in the news, and they're on tour right now. But unfortunately, now they're in some hot water when Chris Martin said some real stupid stuff. So now I guess what Coldplay does is they invite some fans on stage and talk to them. So two of his ardent fans apparently are Israeli. And they come up on stage, and rather than saying, glad you're here and this is wonderful, he decides to take that time to criticize who they are, criticize Israel, and you're like, what are you doing here? I mean, I thought you were educated, and I'm, oh my gosh, and I'm sorry, for the hostages, and how can we help? None of that. And so when you see the video, Avia and Tal were up there on stage, so happy to be there. And when they asked, when he asked where they were from, they said Israel, and you heard a lot of woohoo, woo. Reports are saying they heard boos, but, I heard woo. Now, hey, they're, fans coming from another country to see a famous, band. It's a happy time. So Chris Martin said, I am very grateful that you're here as humans, and I am treating you as equal humans on earth, regardless of where you come from or don't come from. Now, what? So it's almost like he thought he was going to get canceled by the liberal mob or whoever for having Israelis on stage, and had to justify that he will acknowledge another human being. I mean, what the hell was he thinking? What are you doing? You got people from Israel, you got people from Iraq, you got people from Iran, you got people from Afghanistan, you got people from Greece, and if they're listening to your show, or they want to come, or your music, or they want to come to your concert, you're gonna then publicly disparage or criticize the country these two people are from. I mean, these two ladies did not ask Hamas to come and attack and rape and behead babies. They did not ask Hamas to take hostages. Israel has not been running Gaza for years. Hamas has. They pulled out of that area back in 2005. And so don't you think Chris Martin would be a little bit more understanding of that? And then, of course, he said, we welcome Palestinians. So he brought up Palestinians. And yeah, if there's any Palestinians in the crowd listening, great. But if a Palestinian was up there on stage, would you say, we're happy you're here, even though Hamas raped and murdered? No, he probably wouldn't have said that at all. And you shouldn't say that, because just because there's somebody there from a country doesn't mean that the politics, doesn't mean that the brutal, murders and rapes that Hamas did represents them. So if a Palestinian was up on the stage, you don't sit there and bring up what their rulers did. People of Palestine are victims because they're being ruled by fanatic murderers and terrorists. So I find it very odd that he had to stop and make these, you're equally human because they come from Israel. And if you're Israeli, you are protecting the Holy Land. You are protecting religious artifacts. You're protecting religious. Because all Israelis have to, unless you're religious, have to join, the military, do military time. They're protecting people who want to go and see the sepulcher of Christ, or go to the River Jordan, or go to the Sea of Galilee, or go to the Western Wall, or go to the mosques. They're there to allow people to come to Israel freely and be able to worship and pray and do what they need to. Why aren't you thanking these individuals for the tireless work they do when they are always under continuous threat? But I think what happened is politics decided to take this on, and now you have right and left. So you have the Republicans being very pro-Israel, being let's get the hostages out. And even though the majority of Democrats feel that same way, you have the ultra left that are all about, no, Israel is bad. The hostages had to happen, and Hamas is Palestine, and we honor them, and we will welcome them, and you cannot do that. And it's and so I think it's disgusting what happens. And so anybody who's Jewish or related to Israel, we have LDS represented in Israel. We have Arabs in Israel. You know how many Arabs are Israeli? You're just going to insult them all? By deigning to, say we're human? Come on. It's sickening. And I think there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of, when you saw that bomb, that missile come and hit that hospital, and people from Israel are like, Daliah, show the media. You see where it's coming from. It's coming from the Gaza side. It's not coming from the Israel side. And it took days for the media to finally report that correctly. That was friendly fire. That was, they shot a missile and it hit their own hospital. But not these other media outlets didn't correct it. And so there's this continual misinformation. Trust me, it's bad. The war would stop if the hostages are home. But it started because Hamas came across, as well as Palestinians not associated with Hamas, to come across and rape, kill, murder, and bring people back as hostages. That's not all Palestinians. I want Palestine free from Hamas. You can't be LGBTQAI plus in Gaza. You can in Israel. They have pride parades. They're very, very protective of their gay and lesbian and LGBTQ community. But you don't have that protection in Gaza. When you tell me free Palestine from Hamas. That's a slam dunk, and I think we all agree. But no. People say, yeah, but it's Israel. Israel's not allowing them to do what they need to do. I don't understand what Coldplay's doing. But this showed Chris Martin. Chris Martin is a pretty talented musician, but it shows he's an idiot. He's a dumbass. And this is what you're doing with your fans. So somebody comes, from Afghanistan, you're going to call them Taliban. You're going to associate them with the Taliban. What are you doing here? But you see, this is what people like to do. If you're from Texas, you're a Texan. Okay, well, that means you're MAGA. See, this is what the world wants, because they want civil wars. America, there are people just itching and scratching for us to go into another civil war. So they're trying to say, okay, well, there's a blue state and a red state. I live in Nevada. We're not blue or red. We're Nevadans. What do Nevadans care about? Well, we care about our beautiful land, care about our beautiful mountains, our beautiful desert. We care about our tourists. We care about law and safety and education. We really care about sports. We're not red. We're not blue. We have a Republican governor. We have Democratic senators, but we're Nevadan. And everybody is trying to pull Nevada one side to the other. Come on. And that's what they're doing with this. You can't say let the hostages out, do reparations for what you did. Get out of Gaza and do not rule Palestinians under your terroristic means. You can't you can't be for that. You have to pick a right or left attitude of this. So, I don't know. I'm done with Coldplay. 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away. Hi, everyone. Dr. Daliah here. As you know, blood banks across the country have declared critically low supplies. In response to this, governors have united for National Blood Donation Week. September 1st through the 7th is National Blood Donation Week, with September 4th National Blood Donation Day. And we are hoping this encourages millions of Americans to donate blood. When crisis strikes, the blood needs to be in the hospitals ready to go. But remember, the units need to be processed days before. And thousands of units of blood are already being used by hospitals on a regular daily basis. So blood supplies need to be prepared and delivered year-round. If you can't donate blood, don't worry. Please host a drive or even spread the word. It all saves lives. You could sign up to donate blood or host a drive at drdaliah.com. Follow the link to National Blood Donation Week. That's drdaliah.com. Remember, 1 pint of blood could save 3 lives. Imagine what the whole country could do. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So there's been a variety of statistics looking at cancer. When I was in medical school, we were taught that 1 in 2 people will get some sort of cancer in their life, even if it's a benign tumor. American Cancer Society says 1 in 3 Americans face a risk of cancer diagnosis in their lifetime. And in my family, breast cancer is common. Breast cancer affects 1 in 8 of us. But I got to tell you, the people surviving breast cancer are sharing their story, reaching out, and saving lives. And one such person I'm so excited to have is Broadway actress, cancer survivor, and advocate, social media influencer, Sarah Bentley. She is teaming up with Aflac to launch a new campaign called Checked for Cancer, with the goal of increasing early cancer screenings by 10% over the next decade. As you know, Sarah Bentley is a Broadway actress and co-founder of A Chance for Life. A Chance for Life is a nonprofit that funds surrogacy for breast cancer survivors. Wow. Sarah, we are so excited to have you. Welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Dr. Daliah. I'm thrilled to be here to share my story and to tell you a little bit more about this amazing campaign with Aflac.
Yeah, and it's not easy. I mean, you were diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. You were only 38 years old. And, that's very traumatizing. And here you are, willing to share, your cancer journey. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, my story is my superpower, right? And by telling it, I hope to reach at least one of your listeners. I had an itch underneath my armpit. I went down to scratch it, and I found a lump the size of a walnut. And my doctors, they brushed it. They didn't think it was anything serious, but I know my body so well, as a professional dancer and a yogi, and I just knew something wasn't right. So I advocated fiercely for more tests, and eventually, after multiple biopsies, I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. And, that's why I've teamed up with Aflac on the Check for Cancer campaign, because of my advocacy for myself and my own health, I saved my own life. And I want to help others do the same. I mean, early detection, it really matters.
So true. And I can't tell you how many times patients feel intimidated by their medical provider because they say, no, you're too young. Or, no, it's nothing. In fact, we opened the show talking about itching and how sometimes an itch is a sign that you could have something underlying. So it's just so telling that these are the ways your body, like you said, your body, and so thank God it was caught at stage 2. And so how did your treatment go and your recovery?
Yeah, I thank God every day for that itch, Dr. Daliah. I'm telling you, thank you, itch. But yeah, I was diagnosed at stage 2, which is considered early stage breast cancer. And there's no easy stage of breast cancer. I mean, this rocked my life and changed the entire course of it. However, the most important thing I want everyone to hear is that because it was caught early, it was treatable, right? Mm-hmm. And this is why AFLAC is here to talk about this Check for Cancer campaign with myself, because they're like a lot more than just an insurance company, and a lot of people don't know that, but they're pioneers when it comes to cancer insurance. So raising awareness through this campaign together, we hope to increase cancer screenings by 10% in the next 10 years. It's such an important message.
Love it, love it. So talk to us about Check for Cancer.
Yeah. All right, this is a wild stat. Are you ready? AFLAC did a study showing that 60% of people skip their routine medical exams and screenings. Yet we know that early detection can boost survival rates above 90%. And that's why we're here with this movement. And we want to make it very simple for everyone, right? So checkered patterns, a chessboard, a checkered flag, a checkered pair of sneakers. Anytime you see a check, you're reminded to get checked. And
Brilliant.
Not only that, but the social, it's so great, right? I mean, it's so obvious. It's right in front of you. There's checkers everywhere. And the social media component is that every time you post using hashtag Check for Cancer, AFLAC contributes $5 to childhood cancer care and research up to $1 million. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm doing my mammogram in November, and we got Breast Cancer Awareness Month coming up. We have so absolutely hashtag Check for Cancer, because wow, you're helping save children's lives and adults' lives with reminding them of such a great campaign. We're speaking with Broadway actress, cancer survivor, and advocate social media influencer Sarah Bentley. So 60% of people avoid routine health checkups from the AFLAC survey. So, we think we know why, but how do you? I mean, I know as a doctor, but that's kind of intimidating. How do you send that message, resonate that message to those individuals who are apprehensive about going and getting checked?
Yeah, when I felt that lump, I already was terrified, right? What could it be? What could they tell me? If I go to get checked, what if they tell me it's cancer? And I almost stopped at the front door of the radiologist's office because of that fear. And I took a deep breath and I said, knowledge is power. Because you know what's scarier? Not knowing. And if I wouldn't have gotten those tests, my doctor said my cancer was so aggressive, I could have been stage 4 if I would have waited just a few more months. And this is what I want you to walk away with. The data on early detection is all around us. It's everywhere. With early detection, most cancers are far more treatable, right? So don't wait. Take a deep breath and know knowledge is your power.
So true. So what's next for you in your career?
Yeah, speaking of power, my story is my superpower, so I'm going to continue to tell it wherever people will hear it, through this campaign with AFLAC, Check for Cancer, and through my advocacy for all cancer survivors and people going through it, as well as with my nonprofit. We raise money to give full surrogacy journeys to breast cancer survivors. As a new mama, I'm a mama of a 20-month-old baby boy, brought here via surrogacy. I got my chance. His name is Chance. After breast cancer, and I want to have women be able to have their chance too.
Oh my gosh! Well, you are. I had a friend of mine that had stage 3 cervical cancer, and she was like, "How could this happen to me?" And she survived it. And I go, sometimes I feel this is God's way or nature's way of protecting others by people such as yourself with such enthusiasm and passion, for other people, to save lives. And so, it's a shame you had to go through what you went through, but you're turning it into something good. And God bless you for that. I really appreciate what you and AFLAC are doing.
Well, thank you, Dr. Daliah. Yeah, that's why, teaming up with AFLAC, who is just as passionate as I am, about helping people have the right kind of information to know that checking for cancer is giving you a leg up on anything that could be happening in your body is a very it's what I aim to do. So I want to let you guys know, though, if you want to have any more information on this campaign, there's so much more to talk about. Aflac.com/check-for-cancer. All of the resources are there. Screening checklists, employers, toolkits, and just all the good ways to get proactive about your own health.
Absolutely. Thank you. I was going to ask where to get more information. One more time, if you could give us the website.
Yes. Get your pens out. Aflac.com/check-for-cancer.
Wonderful. #check-for-cancer. Love you, Sarah, so much. Can't wait to have you back. Thank you and Aflac for all you do.
Thank you, Dr. Daliah.
Anytime. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So when I had my breast cancer scare, I was, because I had blood coming from one side, one breast, and that's never anything good. And I'm sitting there waiting for my mammogram and for my biopsy, and I'm hearing people giggle, in the back of the doctor's office and things. And I'm just thinking to myself, going, gosh, why can't I be like them? Why can't I, why can't I, ignorance is bliss sort of thing. But I got to tell you, catching something early and getting ahead of it is actually the blessing. And so, I understand it's intimidating to go and get checked out. I get it. It's not easy. I hate going to the doctor, and I am a doctor. But get yourself checked out. 1-877-DOC-DALI. Don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Well, some media outlets are blaming the Las Vegas tourism slump on Trump and Canada. I live in Las Vegas. It's not Canada. It's not Trump. It's the ridiculous price gouging and greed and pricing that is just not, conducive to tourism. And I've been seeing this for a long time. Many of you, follow me on social media, and I love to, shout out the hotels and the restaurants and give credit where credit is due and give good reviews. But I gotta tell you, I mean, it is the pricing is so uncomfortable. And you look at going to dinner costing $300-400, for 3 to 4 people. I mean, they're actually 2 people. And you scratch your head going, we're not making this kind of money. If it takes you a week to make that $400 or $500, you're not going to spend it on one dinner. Shows are getting expensive too. Now, I don't mind spending the money on the show because you're getting something out of it, like a 2-hour experience. We went to the Tournament of Kings. My kids wanted to go back. I think the tickets were up to $70 a pop. That gets pretty expensive, but it's a good show. I don't mind paying those prices because still that's cheap for a show in Vegas. But for an hour and a half, plus you want a tip. Plus if you buy drinks, etc., you're easily spending hundreds of dollars. I'm hearing the Sphere is expensive. Try to go to a game at Allegiant Stadium. It's ridiculous. There was the homecoming game last year at UNLV. I think it was the Rebels playing Michigan State. I forget who they were playing. And tickets, which were, for fairly good seats, were almost $200 a pop for a college football game. And so maybe Canadians aren't traveling to, the U.S. as often. I disagree. I am running into Canadians everywhere. I do a lot of hiking in my neck of the woods, and I meet people from Canada all the time. So Canadians are coming. But we really have a problem, especially, in Vegas or throughout the United States, the tipping. In New York, I'm in New York for a conference. I want to buy some pizza. I want to throw it on my card. And they're like, well, then it's going to cost more money. If you use a credit card, it costs more money. And so, now I'm starting to carry cash in New York when a lot of people don't like to carry cash, because they don't want to get mugged, etc. But now we're going back to cash because it's cheaper. And you know what? I don't blame these stores because credit card fees are ridiculous. We could barely collect people's copays as a doctor's office. People weren't paying their medical bills. And then on top of that, we would be paying thousands of dollars a month to the credit card company for using a credit card machine and the credit card fees. And so, yes, you're starting to see if you use a credit card, you're going to have to pay more. And so how do we get this back? I like to tip at least 20%, sometimes 25, 30%. But that's getting harder to do. And I'm noticing, and, it used to be 15%. There used to be all these, rules that people would, follow. Well, if it's the owner, of the company, you don't tip because the tips are for the workers or whatever. I tip everybody. I don't go by those old school rules. And because I waited tables, I always like to do above the 15%, but 15% apparently is old. No. So my 20% now doesn't even look good because that's almost the bare minimum expected. People want 35%. If you notice those buttons you have to push when you go up to a restaurant, like there's one restaurant, I really like the food, but you go up and order at a counter and they still ask for tip. I tip because somebody brings out the food to you, but the food is expensive and you're going up to a counter and you have to tip. But, I've been patient with it because having been a tip worker, I get it. I get that that's what you live on. I was making $1 or $2 an hour, and my tips waiting tables is what supported me. But we're changing that now. Tip workers aren't allowed to get paid $1 an hour or $2 an hour because of the tips. They now are getting paid at least minimum wage, so they're making a salary as well. Now, I'm not saying that salary is enough, But, I used to really, really feel sorry because I knew that all they were making, for that time they waited on me was $1. And now it's, well, no, they are making more money. And I really do want to support our, our tipped workers, but we just cannot be, dealing with this ridiculous amount. Now, this no tax on tips, I liked, and I did support. I think no tax on tips is important. I think it maxes at $25,000 a year, though. So for those people who work valet or who bartend that make $200,000-$300,000 a year, because of tips, there's a limit to how much they don't have to pay taxes. So I think it maxes at the $25,000, and double check with your accountant on the rules and to make sure you're able to get the best shall we say deduction from that. But things are just getting too gosh darn expensive. And I live in Las Vegas. I love Las Vegas, but we're not on a beach. And to spend these prices, these are why these resorts are so fancy, because they're trying to justify their cost. But also, Las Vegas taxes you as a tourist. You have to pay taxes. And I do a lot of staycation, so I pay those taxes. There's all these room taxes and tourism taxes and all sorts of things. There's parking. There's I understand it's very expensive to run these hotels, but we're not chasing off tourism because of a president. We're chasing them off because things are just too gosh darn expensive. And I think the tourism industry is important for health. And we always talk about on this show, you got to take a vacation, even if it's a staycation. Get yourself a hotel room, hang out at the pool, make you feel like you took a break. You need that. You need to displace yourself for a little while and get that break. I like to go hiking. That helps me. I love the comfort of my home, but sometimes I feel like I'm there, too much, and I need to feel like I'm somewhere different. Well, then I'll go an hour away and I'll hike, or I'll camp, or something like that. But you can't be charging $95 for a steak, especially when Vegas was known for the $1.99 steak and egg deals. It's really getting out of hand. And, we're starting to take things for granted in terms of our value. I've been buying things online. I'll buy things at Amazon, and I'll buy clothes, or I'll buy some pieces of furniture, or what. I'm getting crap. It's not Amazon's fault. I mean, they're a marketplace for people to sell. My microwave is pooping out. My dishwasher has pooped out 3-4 times. We had a refrigerator in our RV. Again, pooped out. Just stops working, and then the food goes warm. Nothing seems to work. I mean, the olden days, you bought a refrigerator, that refrigerator lasted. But companies figured out, hey, you won't rebuy another product. So if I sell you something and you're gone, we don't see you for 20 years. How do we make money on you? Well, let's make sure it poops out in 5-10 years, and then you come back. Let's set the bar for, rather than something lasting decades, if it lasts 5 years, it's good. And the market gets manipulated. Don't fall for it. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Looking for an easy read that can actually help secure someone's future? Pick up a copy of Mark Falter's book, Common Sense Income Strategies. For the past 30-plus years, Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. It's not rocket science, it's a pretty easy read. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. Common Sense Income Strategies is available now on Amazon or by calling 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Common Sense Income Strategies by Financial Fitness Show host Mark Falter. Secure your financial future today.